I think Marvel's ruining itself by including the multiverse in its grand plans for its next phase. So I think they'll have to go down to where Kang is, bring all the heroes together from multi-timelines to then have this secret war, secret meaning no one else on any other timeline
Oh my days.
has an idea of what's going on beneath.
If they bring back Robert Downey Jr., right? There's no point watching it. The story's done.
So there's actually rules to this multiverse, right? And it's called the incursion rule. Hello and welcome to Not So Real, the podcast.
Hello!
Still without any headphones.
Oh yeah.
I've not got an ear infection.
But we just look cooler like
We've
this.
decided that we prefer to have our faces
deal with it
in full view. And my hair looks great like this, doesn't it? You know, do you not think? Like the orange looks
it
good.
doesn't, but I mean,
what?
Sure. We're gonna.
Should I go and get a hat?
I'm just gonna go tell you.
Should I go and get a hat?
It looks great, Jack.
Does it look bad?
It looks so good.
I mean, I can't check the camera and look at the camera at the same time.
As long as you're happy.
But I don't know if I'm happy.
That's all I'm gonna say. As long as you're happy.
Before the episode starts, we were just talking about how I have recently felt like I'm in a simulation, which is a reference to our other episode about the Matrix, about the simulation theory. Have you not felt this week? Like, I felt almost like every day was a to-do list, and I had to just tick off every single one.
I know exactly what you mean.
And I was like, oh my God. I was like, now I feel like what the people stuck in the Matrix.
I feel like we were just talking what we were talking about last week, you know, like
just that endless cycle.
It's weird.
I'm not liking it.
But you should go and watch that. Oh well, listen, but go and listen to that.
You can watch it as well. There are clips. Like
so
this one.
Watch, listen. I think you should go and watch that. But for now,
we're on to another podcast, another topic, another
Oh,
episode,
yeah, baby.
and we are talking about the multiverse.
What are you trying to eat? Are you trying to eat like he's trying to? Jack's just trying to like bite his mic or something. I don't know if he's trying to like a weird, metaphorical. Oh no!
What was that?
I don't even know. I was trying to say.
If you're gonna dig me out, do it correctly.
Metaphorical.
Yeah.
Food, but it didn't come out.
I felt like a dinosaur.
Right.
No.
Okay.
No. You know, like when you play dinosaur with kids, you're like that. Like your hands start going a bit weird, and you start trying to bite them. Don't do that to kids; it freaks them out.
Wait, what? Oh no!
Anyway,
we're getting cancelled again.
Jack, what was the first one?
Stop! No,
I didn't do anything wrong this time.
We didn't get cancelled.
Who got cancelled? You got cancelled.
That wasn't us.
Anyway, onto the podcast.
Yes, onto the podcast.
So, the multiverse is freaking me out. Basically, because I think Marvel's ruining itself by including the multiverse in its grand plans for its next phase. Whether this phase is 5, we on phase 5?
Yeah, I think it's 5. Who knows anymore? Like, to be honest with you, like I was so like I think everyone's just lost sort of like, how do I explain this? I've lost interest, Jack.
Yeah, so have I.
I was so with it all, and then now they've added loads of stuff in with it, with the multiverse and stuff, and I've just totally lost track, and I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's phase 4, phase 5, phase 7. I don't even know.
I was so here.
Like, I'm just so gone.
For phase 1, it was like some of the characters. Phase 2, it was like the Infinity Stones. Phase 3, which was like, you know, let's introduce Thanos. Then phase 4 happened. I'm not sure if we're in phase 4, out of phase 4. Phase 5 is coming. There's a brand new baddie. They call him Kang. I don't know what's going on, but it was so simple. It was based on our Earth. You had superhuman characters coming along. You had Iron Man, Thor. You didn't have Spider-Man, Hawkeye, Black Widow. Like all the big names, apart from Spider-Man, were moving their way through this world and how they're going to fix Earth. Suddenly they're like, yeah, welcome to Earth 616. You're like, sorry, hold on. How many other Earths are so? From that one sentence,
70 billion Earths apparently.
But where does it in the comics? I don't know. Does it stop? Is there Earth 4 billion and 2?
There probably
and
is.
What's happening on that Earth that is not happening on this Earth?
the thing with these Earths, I like the idea that there's obviously these characters out there, and it just means they can do what they want with it. Like, it's given the writers and everybody else so much freedom with what they want, what they can do with these characters and what story plots now, because they could just be like, oh yeah, it's from a different multiverse, crazy, and if people don't like it, they can just scrap it. Do you get what I mean? So they're trying this out, and they're doing this as a bit of a, I don't know, it's a bit of a test run for them, and if it doesn't work out, then they can just be like, oh, we're going back to the actual 616 because actually this other one was 417.
That's cheating.
I know, exactly.
That's literally like going, don't worry, lads, what we can do, right? We're going to make a brand new universe.
It's like a tester for Marvel.
We're going to make a brand new universe. We're going to call it Earth 24,004.
Yeah.
And if it goes really badly, don't worry.
Don't worry, we're going to
We can just go somewhere else. We can try again.
But I think this is just their cheap way of bringing in like the characters that they've bought from other studios, and they didn't know any other way of doing it, so they went, oh fuck it, let's just
X-Men.
say yeah, like they've got to bring them in, right? So, and they said that they're going to bring them in, so their way of doing it is like, oh yeah, multiverse quotation marks, like, because that's the only way they're going to really bring these characters in that people also have like connected well with in the last few years. A lot of people are connected with Wolverine. Look at like Hugh Jackman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of people still want to see him do like Wolverine. He's doing Deadpool 3, but they're going to do that by putting him in a multiverse sort of story.
But
like,
that's
it's just a cheap way of getting them in there. But there's also a bigger problems. But I'll get to it. Go on, Carol. You say what you got to say, Joe.
That's a nice seamless way to get him in.
Yeah,
because he's just going to be on an Earth where Doctor Strange exists and Spider-Man exists, and then Quicksilver might exist. But, and the biggest but here, is that's a whole new timeline. So have they got to start from scratch again? Because they can't just pick him up and plonk him into the narrative that we're following now.
See, this is the issue. I think that they will do that because they're stupid. Like, then, well, I say they're stupid. It's just because they can't make this whole new timeline and everything else when they've got all of this other direction of what they're going on with the main characters of what they're doing at the moment. So I think they're trying to set up another Avengers film but with different characters, because obviously they can't use the original. But by doing this, it's like, I feel like these new characters they're bringing in, there's not this. I just don't think there's that much, not development, but it's just they're adding too many characters and not enough story. And like, you look at all the new series coming out, you look at everything that's like going forward within Marvel. It wasn't like that back in the day. Like, you had like Captain America, you had Iron Man, you had these solid films that were coming in with the information, with what you want. But now they're adding TV series after TV series, and there's this and there's that, and then everyone's getting confused, man. I'm confused. I don't even know who I am anymore. Like, where am I? I don't even know, because I've been watching too many of these stupid series.
Like She-Hulk, what a waste of time.
Like, She-Hulk had nothing to do with any of it. Like, it was just a show to be a show.
Yeah,
like,
it was like filling.
Like, it had no narrative of what I feel like the next phase was going to be. So why do it? You know?
Money?
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. So they found out how much money Marvel was bringing in, right? Because all these characters and everything else, like Endgame and Infinity War, brought in so much money. So now they're like, yeah, let's do multiverse, bring in loads of different actors and stuff and do whatever. And then if it doesn't work, we'll just say it's multiverse and get away with it.
Yeah, but you can't have a whole phase where it's like the multiverse phase and then destroy it, because the multiverse is something that is going to be here forever. This idea of like every timeline's got another timeline to it and every character's got another character, that's not now just going to go away, because they opened it up in Loki, didn't they? Because the idea that, you know, this new baddie Kang got the TVA, and when all the Kangs met, he was like, actually, you fuckers need to die.
Yeah.
Just destroys them all, and then the TVA, plot twist if you didn't know, is built by Kangs to keep all of the other Kangs that potentially could exist from existing.
What? It's like, I've never seen Loki.
Do you know Alligator Loki got put into that thing for eating the wrong cat? Like small, tiny,
just small little
things.
timeline things, yeah.
Then when Sylvie stabbed Kang, they then made the multiverse possible, because all the timelines that were surrounding the set that they were in split off, and you suddenly had the ability to access lots of other timelines because all of the Kangs started to be recreated and therefore became the creators of the universe. Which means the previous Spider-Men should not have existed.
We're not going to talk about them bloody films, right? We're not going to talk about that film in general. You know how much I feel about that film, just to start with.
No,
but
all the other films, the older films, the Tobey Maguire films.
Yeah, but then there could have been...
the Andrew Garfield films.
There could have been a Kang in them later on in the timelines.
But that wouldn't make sense linearly.
But then again, this is what I'm saying to you. They're just bringing these characters in through multiverse so they can have more money. This is the whole idea of Disney's plan of doing this. They want to bring more characters in, and by doing it, it's making people confused, which is making people lose interest.
Yeah, because nothing's real.
Like, you don't know what's going on, and something could happen here, something happens there, but this is what I'm saying to you, that these, like No Way Home, you're going to have a lot more movies coming out where they've got not Easter eggs, but cameos of these older characters that belong to different studios back in the day coming in. You know, they're going to do that, but it's all just money. It's all just money at the end of the day, and that's why they're putting it in there. But by doing all of this and making these really confusing stories, you've got a lot of, like, even starting fans or not so with it fans are losing so much interest. And I would say there's a good lot of people that are really interested in Marvel. And they're loving this sort of stuff, and it's great, it's fantastic, and they're fine with this. They're fine with the direction of adding all these loads of people in. Oh, this makes sense, blah, blah, blah. But then you've got the other 50% that are turning around and looking at this going, this is so confusing. This is too much.
I'd say higher than 50%.
Like, I'm just saying it as a number. It could be more. Like, and because not everyone's into Marvel, like I know a lot of people are, but if you're really not a Marvel geek and you're really not onto it, all of this stuff at the moment, it's just too much. It's going to put you off. And by having this multiverse stuff in there, yes, you'll see loads of people that you used to see back in the day when you was younger. Oh, like, it's them from the Fantastic Four original films, or oh, it's Hugh Jackman. Like, yeah, you're going to have that. It's going to be a nice, like, nostalgia look into it. But then, story point wise, and everyone going into this multiverse stuff, they're just going to get confused. Like, I'm getting confused, and I like it.
I'm getting confused as to how it's all going to work. I think you're maybe the same here.
No, I totally agree with you.
Where does it end?
I'm worried of, like, that they're going to get to this point where, I don't know, it's one of the Avenger films, and it's just not going to make sense. And I get very, like, not weirded out about that, but, like, I obviously like to watch a story for what it is and have a good story point and story plot. And if I watch this Avengers film thinking it's Marvel, they're going to do great, and they've added all of these millions of new characters that they're adding in, I just don't know if it's going to work well.
Do you think they've run out of character ideas for development? Because with Wolverine, he's already a character. You've got how many Wolverine films? 2, 3? How many X-Men films is he in? You've then got Logan, and you've got this, massive movement behind getting Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman on the screen at the same time, which would be hilarious.
Yeah,
you can't deny that.
Yeah.
But how many other characters are there in the Marvel library that they could pick from, and why aren't they picking them? Is it because they've gone, actually, we can, as you say, make more money from getting Hugh Jackman back on the screen than making Captain Great Britain?
That's exactly what it is. Like, I will say that right now. I know for a fact that Hugh Jackman said after Logan that was his last one, right? And they said, yeah, whatever. Obviously, Ryan Reynolds has convinced him to do this last one. It's probably another last one for Hugh Jackman to be Wolverine.
But
by doing that, it's just a money maker. They could easily, people know Wolverine, bringing in other people to play these characters to set up a franchise later on, and they're bringing up these again multiverse older characters from different studios coming in, and it fucks with people's heads. Like, I would like to see Wolverine and all the X-Men in Marvel. I would love to see that and have all of them and the Avengers fight Kang if later on if they need to. But then now you're having Hugh Jackman come back, which he's had all of his story basically told anyway, and there's going to be multiple versions of him in the film.
Wolverine?
Of Wolverine, yeah, apparently. So there's obviously different versions of Wolverine, like doing different bits and bobs.
What, jumping in and out at the same time?
Of this multiverse stuff, yeah. So apparently he's going to be all over it. But then for me, it's like, why don't you set up a story with another Wolverine and put that in the Marvel? Put that actually in their timeline, so then you can set up your X-Men where you need to, which is in the MCUs. At the moment, all of these X-Men characters and every other character is all on these other studios, right? Either bring them across from another multiverse or something, which is still going to be confusing, because it's confusing me just talking about it now, or do the right thing, which I feel like, but it won't make them as much money, is by having a whole brand new set of characters, picking your actors and actresses, and going forward with it. And by having this multiverse, by bringing all these other people in, I think it's ruining storytelling for Marvel.
There's the same thing with Spider-Man, though, because they had to bring Spider-Man kind of back over from Sony, and they did just almost start again. And it was clever because they didn't actually like show you how he got his powers. You just assume that he got bitten by a spider. Like that, just spoilers. That's just kind of what happens. With Wolverine, they could do the same thing. They could retell the story. There's so many stories of Wolverine in the comics they can take inspiration from. The same as Spider-Man.
Totally
they
agree.
did. What was it? The Eagle Man? What's he called? In Spider-Man 1.
Oh, the Vulture.
The Vulture. That had never been done before. Eagle Man.
Fucking love Eagle Man.
It?
Do you know what? I love it when
there is,
Eagle Man comes in.
Because in some of the comics, he has got like feathers.
I love Michael Keaton when he plays Eagle Man. Sorry, carry on.
I mean, that was
my favourite part.
That's not cool enough to be a villain name, but it is called
Eagle Man.
Eagle Man.
Eagle Man.
Eagle Man.
Michael Keaton plays the Eagle Man.
That's not even.
He did play Birdman, but
close. I was close.
Yeah, you were kind of there.
Oh, yeah, I'm taking that as a win.
We'll give that, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
The Vulture. Okay.
But they could look at all the Wolverine stories. New name for you there. If you want
Eagle Man for Wolverine. And it's Eagle Man versus Wolverine. Fight.
That sounds like a good name.
I'd watch that.
So would I.
I'd watch that wrestling match.
But there's so many different Wolverine stories that they could actually pick from in the comics. They're just being lazy. They're just like, let's just bring him in as he is, not start again. If you give him Hugh Jackman's face, sorted. Like, everyone's there going to go, like, Ryan Reynolds, huge right now, everywhere in the news. Hugh Jackman, like, the most established actor on the bloody planet right now, still performing at the top of his game. And then you think, right, if we're going to make the Fantastic Four or the X-Men again, if you just pull them in, it's the same film.
Yeah,
and it's just a remake of a film that's not even that old yet.
I completely agree with you, and this is why, like, I think it worked well with Spider-Man. So if they just pulled in Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield from the Sony films straight into Civil War, right? They would have done that for one reason only, for people to go, oh my god, that Spider-Man's in that film. That's the only reason they would have done that. But instead, they turned around and went, no, we actually do need a new Spider-Man. Like, this needs to make more sense in this universe, that this person needs to be a part of, like, this MCU.
Yeah.
And that's why it worked quite well and they didn't bring anyone over. And I think that's great. But then I think they're going to definitely have a problem if they feel like they're going to bring some of these old characters back and then put it in the massively big story of what they want to do with the next Avengers film, with Secret Wars or anything else they want to go forward. Like, I think delaying that and by putting these people in is just a money grab. They're putting these people in for nostalgia, money grab. Like, it doesn't really push a lot of, like, story point for what they're building up to, which is Kang.
Okay, question then. They have, once upon a time, really badly recast the Fantastic Four.
Ooh.
Right? Remember that film? It was not good. And they did it in a whole brand new way. There was a lack of story. There was lack of character. It was purely based on nostalgia from the first two films, where they thought it was going to work.
I saw that in the cinema and I was gutted. I tell you that right now. I was bored.
I rented it. I knew it would be bad. I just rented it for a bit. I was like, I'm going to watch that.
To be fair, you've done better than me, fella. So,
Yeah, let's not do that.
Yeah.
Right. And now, if they're going to recast Wolverine, if you're Marvel, you're Kevin Feige, you've got to recast Hugh Jackman. Who are you picking? Recasting Bond is hard. This could be harder.
No, I've got 2 picks, and I think both of them could do it.
Go on then.
Taron Egerton.
No, shut up.
I think he could do it. And he's quite good friends with Hugh Jackman, so...
You'd put Taron from Kingsman...
Yeah, him, yeah.
We can identify him that way, as Wolverine.
Okay, and then my second pick is Daniel Radcliffe, but before we talk about that...
No! None of them are going to do a good job.
Wolverine is supposed to be... I think 5'7", 5'6". He's not supposed to be 6'4" like what Hugh Jackman is. He's supposed to be small. He's supposed to be this little, like, sort of like... quite muscular,
small man syndrome.
Yeah, but he's supposed to be. That is what Wolverine's supposed to be, and he's supposed to be a bit mean, like bub. Like I've seen Daniel Radcliffe's other films, and I think he could pull it off. I think he's got the height for it. He can build the body physique because he can get a 6-pack. Like he's done that for other roles, and I also think Taron Egerton could do it too. I think he could play that mean sort of person. I think he can do that. I think he's got very good action in him as well, from Kingsman as well. Like at the end of the day, they're my 2 picks for Hugh Jackman anyway, and they're both quite big stars. I'd say obviously Daniel Radcliffe's bigger, right? Obviously because of Harry Potter stuff and everything else. But a lot of people do just see him still as Harry. But then that would be so funny if you did bring someone like Daniel Radcliffe in, and then you had someone like Deadpool who's making Harry Potter jokes the whole fucking time. Do you know what I mean? Like you've got things that you can take from different things and everything else, and make it into the story for more comedy or this or that. Like, I like Hugh Jackman. I really like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and he is Wolverine. Like, if you look at Wolverine, you go, yeah, Hugh Jackman. That his name is in the brand, and it's why they're bringing him back. But for story-wise, they could have just started their new X-Men. They could have done a whole new X-Men, and I think they're trying to do that by trying to make. But they made Miss Marvel a mutant.
Yeah.
So they're trying to, instead of her being actually what she was in the comics, which is Inhuman. But they've made her a mutant now. Sorry. And because they've made her a mutant, obviously it's more of a getting away into leading more mutants into the MCU.
Almost like a they exist sort of thing. We can bring them in now. It's
like with Namor. Namor's a mutant as well.
Yeah.
So like they are slowly bringing him in, but they need to do it in the right way. And
Namor is in the guy from Black
Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
And I think they need to do it right. But at the moment, if they're bringing all these old characters back from this multiverse quotation mark, then it isn't going to work. Like look at Doctor Strange 2, right? Multiverse of Madness. A lot of people were like, "Oh wow, these characters and the fan cast or whatever these characters come in," and then they put him in a crap story, and no one liked it.
No,
like everyone was like, "This is shit." And everyone went to watch it because they thought they were going to see these characters like do a bit more than they actually did, and it was all just a bit of bait, like jailbait, basically. Just to get, I'll come in, have a look, and it didn't work. I think the multiverse is gonna open a few doors for some stories, but I feel like they're just using it to bring back old characters, which I don't like. You know, like don't like the story going into.
It's profit bait. I'm going to say one name, and you'll agree. Robert Downey Jr.
See, here's the thing. Like, if... This is a big statement for me. If they bring back Robert Downey Jr., right, there's no point watching it. Like, no. The story's done. Like, the whole thing for Marvel and everything else is completely done. You've got a lot of, like, Marvel fans that'll go, "Oh my god, I love Iron Man, I want him to come back."
Yeah, but they're not the Marvel fans. They're like the normal viewer.
They are the normal viewers of going, "Oh, he was so good in Endgame. He should definitely come back to life." Like the whole phase leading up to his death and with the Infinity Stones and everything else, like that was like the pinnacle of cinema of what Marvel is and what it evolves around. Sacrifice and death around saving the people you love. By taking him out of that situation of him him dying and taking him back and making him come back to life and be like, "Oh my god, we got Robert Downey Jr. back again," right? There was no point in that even ever happening because he's just come back to life.
it devalues every bit of work that he's done in that brand.
Yeah,
like when you look at this idea of like if he does come back, let's just say he does, suddenly everything that's ever been done in Marvel is pointless.
Yes, completely.
And it's also like it's got no meaning. So him struggling throughout Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3. That was Iron Man 3 was an amazing film. Iron Man 1 was incredible.
Yeah,
but you look at how much he had to sacrifice, and suddenly you think, well, it doesn't really make much difference what he did because we're just going to bring him back. And if we can bring him back, then every single story that ever happens, any single bit of death, any single bit of loss, any tiny piece of movement that could be really instrumental, like when they lost an Infinity Stone, all of that, because you need to go, it's alright, there's another universe.
Yeah, we're just gonna go.
We're just gonna go and get that.
We're gonna grab him from Universe 414,
and we'll just we'll just go and get, because whatever they've got,
that's what I mean.
We can just have that.
They're literally gonna, if they bring him back, they will turn around because they'll do it, one, for the money again, they're money baiting again, and two, they'll go, he's from a different universe. He's from Earth 818, and then he's going to come in and be like, oh, hi guys, it's me, Tony Stark. And then everyone's like, wow, they brought Robert Downey Jr. back, and they all start fucking crying and all that shit. But then true Marvel fans will turn around and be like, oh, they shouldn't have done that.
No.
Like, I like him being there, but like, it's just not right.
The multiverse can almost solve every single problem.
Yes, exactly. It debunks everything they've done leading up to it. It's like they're building a load of story, and I feel like now they've got the option of having this multiverse here. Like, they've got a lot of options to see some of their little wrongdoings that they've done in the past and be like, yeah, we'll just undo that.
Yeah, we'll just get rid of that.
But you've set that already. You've already done that, so you just keep it. Leave it set there and go with the new stuff that is going forward. They could do very well with the multiverse and bring in these new characters and doing all this, but they just need to do it right. I think they need the right people on the job, and if they do it, then it's going to pan out great. But I, at the moment, think it's not going well.
I'd prefer it to stay on this one universal planet. If we stick to 616 and everything is like some kind of linear continuation, like Spider-Man again growing into this new superhero now, you could make a really good growing up story, like a teenage to 20-year-old to 30-year-old growing up story, and watch a character develop in being a superhero, like Tony Stark. That's what was so good about the first films, was all of them weren't heroes. If you just bring back heroes, what's the point?
But then with all of this as well, you had a lot of things building up to what the end goal was going to be. So they were always teasing about Infinity Stones. There was always teasing about this. But then I feel like you've got some series that are out there are just to set up, I don't know, just to set up nothing. They're just like, even you got like She-Hulk. Like I don't mean to shit on it, but it's got nothing. It's got nothing going forward for the story of what's going on in Phase 5.
Yeah,
at all. It's got nothing to do with it. So why make it? Why do that? If you're going to set down a character and do whatever, you have them points in and you set it going forward. You've got others like you've got Loki that set up a lot. Like that set up so much. You've got like other characters that did have like quite good set up stories, like leading up to more films. You've got Miss Marvel leading up to the Marvels film. You've got Moon Knight, which is probably going to lead to him meeting up with one of Kang's variants, who is Egyptian.
Yeah,
Ramatut. And this is what I'm saying. You've got all of this sort of going forward, but then they're adding different bits and bobs, and because the multiverse, it's all right, and they can get away with either chucking it from away or saying, "Oh, just ignore that, it'd be fine." But then everyone's getting confused. I've had enough of it. The multiverse has done my brain in.
I've had to Google the rules.
Oh, go on.
All right, so what I've looked at is, because of this idea of bringing back Tony Stark, I was like, they can't do this. No. So there's actually rules to this multiverse, right? And it's called the incursion rule, which is something that we saw in Loki.
Yeah, it's like the TVA and all that.
Yeah. So in the TVA, they were trying to prevent incursions, which meant that there'd be a multiple amount of Kangs created across this one singular timeline, which would then branch off and make other timelines and make them the multiverse. So an incursion can present like an existential risk to a particular universe, An incursion is when a multiversal traveller leaves too much of an imprint on another reality. Which risks a collision between the origin and destination universes. So like it means that they've been there for too long, or they've caused a massive event which can cause two timelines to collide. If they collide, they can pretty much explode, which is what Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is all about. So on Earth 838, he discovers that timelines, if they get too close to each other, also in Loki, they just can cause a massive destruction of everyone in it, on it, and surrounding it. So one of the key pitfalls of stories involving the parallel universes or multiple universes is that any character that dies, there's multiple amounts of them available to Marvel on the other universes. Which basically means the stories are fucking void, and we've said this, right? So they just mean, all the stories mean absolute shit. So what Marvel have done is have said that if there's too much happening from one character being in the wrong timeline, it can cause an incursion. So the effects of moving characters between timelines has to be limited. Otherwise, the incursions mean the MCU is going to fall apart. And all of the Earth 216, 412, 189 will no longer exist if they keep jumping across all the universes.
See, what do you think this is where they're leading up the story of where now they're going to bring all these people in and it's going to be like that, and then that's where Secret Wars comes in?
I think what they're going to do is they're going to have this risk identified very clearly of you can jump between the multiverses, but you can't stay and you can't have an effect. So I think the quantum realm, as identified in Endgame, doesn't have the same rules as the normal universes. So I think they'll have to go down to where Kang is, bring all the heroes together from multi-timelines to then have this secret war, secret meaning no one else on any other timeline,
oh my days,
has an idea of what's going on beneath. So effectively you are keeping it all a secret, because no one can access the quantum realm unless you are a quantum being or a quantum hero, or you know somebody who is quantum, right?
That's pretty fucking awesome.
That's how I think it. That's my prediction. It could be completely wrong.
That is pretty cool though.
What they've said is that they can't bring back Iron Man completely, but there are other Iron Men out there that are at their disposal.
But then they've got like, what's her name in Wakanda Forever? They're bringing, is it Ironheart?
Ironheart.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they've got other people that are in that role anyway. So,
but here are my questions. Big questions. So this idea.
Give me some questions. Go on.
This idea of you can jump between timelines.
Right.
You have to have minimal effect, like Back to the Future, right? If you have a huge effect on the past, it affects the time you go back to. Endgame. I think that was pretty catastrophic, that event. I think that was pretty huge.
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like there was a lot of timeline people that were out of place on a different timeline, causing a massive event.
Well, yeah, because there was you're not even wrong.
But you may sit there and think, hold on, that's just time travel, right? Because the characters don't actually swap timelines; they just go back in time.
Yeah.
No Way Home. Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, are from completely different timelines.
And that's why, like, at the end it was breaking, because they're all in their different timelines having an effect on the world, right?
Well, no, the timeline was breaking because of the spell. But
then could that also be a reason why it was also trying to implode itself?
But
maybe. I don't know, because
they did have a massive effect on the timeline.
Yeah.
Right? That is what I would count as a massive effect.
Yeah, I would
Huge
say.
Scale battle, but there were no repercussions. This spell fixed it all.
Yeah, but Aunt May died.
Aunt May died?
Yeah, Spoiler.
But in the actual grand scheme of the multiverse, if you're thinking you can't jump into someone else's timeline and have a massive effect, otherwise the world's going to blow up and your timeline and his timeline are going to crash.
Yeah.
They caused a fucking huge war in the middle of New York.
This is what I'm saying to
and
you.
it's gone back to normal. And the rule is you cannot cause catastrophic events to happen outside of your timeline. So why, in No Way Home, did nothing huge happen?
Yeah, like why was there no
between all the
TVA? Why was
timelines?
there no fucking nothing?
No one appeared.
There was none.
Nothing happened. Kang killed all other Kangs. That's quite a big event. If you go to any timeline and murder someone, that could change your whole path. That changes so many people's paths. Nothing happened.
See, I don't know a lot about it, but obviously, clearly, Kang must have defeated all the other Kangs and then put it in like, I don't know, put it into one timeline where they were never going to come back. So that was the whole idea of him having the TVA run, because he was the only one left, and he was like basically a bit local, and he basically set everything to the same path. So these other Kangs weren't born, and it was just him that was left because he wasn't really insane, like not insane, but he wasn't murderous. He didn't want to kill everyone. Well, all these other Kangs do. But I do agree with you, because it would have caused a load of fucking shit in killing all these other Kangs.
Exactly. And then when he's trying to keep one timeline, is he trying to keep one timeline, or is he trying to keep multiple timelines in order? And that one little strand, is that just 616? Is he trying to keep just that one timeline in order?
I don't think so, because I think he's sent the TVA after other timelines with different Lokis and different things, and that's why they got all zapped down there. So clearly, the idea is that I think this line is the perfect straight line for him and what is personally towards for him.
So it's his six.
It's his universe and what he has to do to keep where he is now. As soon as he died, that's when all these other timelines all branched out, and then that's when all the other Kangs were getting born.
So maybe he was trying to keep his timeline intact.
I think so as well. He was trying to keep his timeline intact, so then these other Kangs weren't born. It was just him, and then, and because he's not a murderer Kang, because all the rest of them want to take over the universe, want to take over their worlds and stuff. He's keeping his timeline intact, so everything that he's taken away from these different universes to make sure that don't happen, but he is still alive.
The one and only Kang. So every little incursion, that incoming incursion that
means
that
there's
you
a
saw,
chance of the other Kangs being born.
was from a different timeline that wasn't his.
Yep. So I think it's more of a fact of that there's a chance of another Kang being born, and he wasn't going to make that chance happen on any of these other timelines or universes. So he made the TVA to get rid of them.
But isn't that him consistently fucking up other timelines?
Yeah. So
shouldn't there be a whole catastrophic collision of timelines?
But then clearly he's in charge of it all, so I don't really know.
But how can he? He's not a cosmic being.
I don't know.
It's confused me beyond belief.
Honestly, if you're really not into the comics and you're really not into it, which I ain't, it's baffling. It's baffling what's going on. I'm barely keeping up. I need someone to sit me down and just explain even more to me. I sometimes have to sit there and watch YouTube videos
to have it all explained,
to know what's going on. Just not even the films and what's going on. It's just more the fact of the outside of what the film's based on. So I know that what the fuck is sort of going on. I don't get it. But I agree with you, Jack. It's
confusing, isn't it?
Marvel is not doing a good job at the moment.
I think the multiverse will kill a lot of people that are attracted to Marvel. I think it will kill I think it's going to kill interest.
I think it already has, and I think it's getting there. I think you've got a couple of saving graces, you've got Guardians of the Galaxy, which is
always going to be amazing.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Always
you're going to have loads of people who are diehard fans of that, but even that's coming now to an end, and they're starting new stories of these other Marvel people, other characters. Sorry, and you've got some that are going to always do well. They haven't introduced the multiverse into Guardians yet. No.
But
I don't think they will, because that's their last film. Because they're basically, from what I've heard or scene, apparently it's like the end of the Guardians.
Yeah.
Or if it is at the end of that set of Guardians, they're going to make a new set of Guardians.
But I'm quite relieved they're going to leave that on a high. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's going to be a
fan.
fantastic film. But apart from maybe that film, there's going to be a lot of people now sort of dipping out of Marvel, being like the new Ant-Man film. Not a lot of people are happy with it.
I've not heard rave reviews. I haven't actually seen it yet. I've waited to see what the comments were like, purely because it's gone into this Quantumania business. And even the word Quantumania, I'm baffled. Like, I haven't got a clue what's going on. But
did you know Quantumania's got Ant-Man in it?
Has it?
Yeah.
And the Wasp?
Not and the Wasp, no, because Quantumania can't fit and the Wasp inside it. But inside,
is Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania?
Yeah, but inside the word Quantumania has Ant-Man.
What?
Think about it. Quantum, so Quant.
I got it.
Mania,
I can spell.
man.
I can spell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you?
Well, I can't speak, obviously.
But yeah, that's a nice little fact if you didn't know that, by the way. Just to clarify. But I think that was their plan anyway. But
we're on the same page here, though. Multiverse.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I just don't think it's doing Marvel any good. I think if they do,
I wouldn't like to be recruited by Marvel now to be a superhero.
At the moment, no, because you don't know if it's going to do good or bad. Like, I'm quite excited to see what DC is going to do. Like that's the mood I'm in at the moment.
And that's how much Marvel's pissed you off.
Yeah, it really has.
I wonder what James Gunn's going to get up to.
Yeah, like I'm really sitting there thinking, I could do with a fresh start. Wonder what DC is
So, I mean, fresh starts, you got the same Batman you had about 20 years ago. So, you can't really be saying much about fresh starts and then mention DC.
Anyway.
That's the end of the podcast.
Thank you for listening.
We'd love to hear what you think as well. So,
yes,
make sure you come and give us a little message.
DM us and be like, you're totally right, guys.
You're totally wrong, guys.
Marvel's just shit now. Or you're going to we're just going to get the die-hard Marvel fans that just go, what the fuck are you saying?
I love the comic books.
How dare you say this? The multiverse is amazing. I want Hugh Jackman's ding dong. Like what?
I bet it's huge.
Yeah, probably. Right,
He is
okay.
Australian.
Let's stop talking about it. There goes my Friday night. What? Crazy. What? Whoa,
Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much.
We'll be back next week with more shenanigans.
There we go.
See you in a week.
Roll the credits.